Hello again. Here we are for some help with the activity, the lesson assignment for 2.01 biological interactions. For this assignment, you're going to be writing a letter to the Everglades Park, and this letter is going to be used for your collaboration project. So it's important for you to format your letter the best you can, because other students are going to be looking at that letter you've written and they're going to be reviewing your work. That's part two of the collaboration project. So don't worry about that so much right now. That isn't due until the end of the semester or your end date for the course. But just worry about getting this letter written the best that you can. And I'm going to show you what I've set up in Buzz to help you out. So once you come to the lesson pages for biological interactions, the lesson assignment is always on the last page. So here's the last page of that lesson. And in the green box, you're going to see a lot of information to read through. In nature, we may find a predator introduced into an ecosystem or an environment that is not normally found there. An example of this is the Burmese python. Burmese pythons are originally found in Southeast Asia. We're currently finding them in the Everglades National Park swamp in Florida. The addition of Burmese pythons has upset the balance of the interactions in the Everglade ecosystem. The pythons are consuming prey at an alarming rate and causing increased competition for resources. They also rapidly reproduce, making it difficult to control their population numbers. Their population is getting so high that the pythons are starting to overflow into neighborhoods surrounding the Everglades National Park area. This is creating an environmental problem that we need to solve. Here's the activity. Use the instruction sheet, that's one link we need to open up, to help guide you through each step of this activity. For this activity, you will be researching the Burmese python's impact on the Everglades National Park ecosystem in southern Florida. These articles are an excellent place to start your research. One article is called Python, the other is called Impact of Invasive Alien Species. After completing your research, you will analyze data on the current methods being implemented to control the python population and create a plan to solve the issue. You will then write a letter to the park ranger detailing your plan to control the python population in this ecosystem. Take a look at this student sample letter to see how your letter should be set up. You will submit your letter for grading, and then it will also be posted in the discussion area. Be sure to review the grading rubric before you begin. If you're having difficulty, contact Mrs. Lohoff, me, for assistance. You may also want to make sure you're looking at segment 1 collaboration activity, which I've already shared with you. So I'm going to open up this activity instructions sheet. It's important that you do the same. All right, there's more information in here that I want you to read. Here is a link to the two articles that you can read. It also says you may complete research using your own newspapers, magazines, or other online resources. Make sure you are using credible scientific sources. What I always tell my student is you want to make sure that the website ends in edu, gov, something that is giving you the information as from a credible source. If you're at a .com or .orgs can be okay, but if you're at one of those, it could be Uncle Joe Bob down the street giving you his opinion. And while that might be great advice, it's not considered a credible source. We want our credible sources to come from places who have done investigations and research and have data to support what they're saying. Okay, so make sure outside research is coming from a credible source. Underneath is a very important part of this assignment. This is the current methods being used to control the Burmese python. So you're going to look at these methods. They name the method, they estimate the cost, they predict the effectiveness, and they talk about the impact on other species. Part of your letter needs to look at this and say that maybe you've decided one of these is the best plan, or maybe you've decided another plan is better. Using the research and data, you're going to create a 3-paragraph letter to the park ranger detailing your findings. Make sure that you talk about how the Burmese python is impacting the Everglades ecosystem. We need examples. And in a minute, I'll show you the rubric that tells you how many impacts you need to list to get how many points for this assignment. Next, you need to list why is it important to control this population. You need to address that question. That would be paragraph 2. And then finally, based on your research, what method of controlling the python population do you think would be most effective? Create a plan based on your method. So you can, again, use this data box for that. All right, so let's take a look at what I have included for you in Buzz. When you come here to the Buzz assignment, you have the lesson pages. I have also included a PDF copy of the 2 articles that they recommend using. So if you click on this PDF, it's going to open it right in Buzz for you, and you can read the article. The second article, Impact of Invasive Alien Species, same thing. You can read it right in Buzz. These are not terribly long articles, so I don't think it's going to take you too much time. Then, once again, I've included a Google Doc copy. If you are a fan of Google Docs, you'll be able to click on this template, and it will open up a template for you that you can pretty much enter in your information and have a good letter. So you would include your first and last name at the top, your contact information and street address. You can create a fake address if you don't want to share your actual address. That is fine. I'm just looking to make sure you know how to format the letter. You're going to include the date that you write your letter, and then dear whoever you are writing it to. Here's the first paragraph. Explain why you are writing and the impact of the problem on the Everglades. You're going to need to list up to 3 impacts. If you want to be a skilled scientist and get the points for a skilled scientist, you need to have 3 impacts on the environment. The second paragraph is making your valid argument for why the population should be controlled. You should use evidence from Python and impact of invasive alien species, and you should cite that by saying things like, in the article Python it stated, or in the article impact of invasive alien species described. Make sure you're listing where you get your information from. And then finally, you're going to list your plan for the solution. You can look at that instructions box for the choices. You're going to have a closing, sincerely, your friend, whatever you want for a closing, and then your name. All right, let's take a look at the grading rubric really quickly. Here, to get back to that last page. And these rubrics are exactly what I use to give you your grade. So here we go, the grading rubric. If you want to be a skilled scientist, you need to list 3 or more impacts on the environment. If you have 2, you are a developing scientist, and if you have only 1 or nothing, you are a novice scientist. You need to have a valid and strong argument supporting why the python population should be controlled, and you need to cite the evidence saying where it came from in order to be a skilled scientist. If you list a valid argument but you did not have evidence or you didn't give good reasoning, that's a developing scientist. And if you tried to have an argument but really didn't have the good reasoning or any evidence at all, that is a novice scientist. Then, if you successfully included a plan that had evidence from that data box and the research that had already been done, that would be a skilled scientist. If you created a successful plan, but you really didn't say where it came from, that would be a developing scientist. If you tried to have a plan, but it really didn't have any evidence, research, or support, that is a novice scientist. And this is a letter. So yes, I will be including points for grammar and spelling. I think that covers everything for this assignment. If you have any questions, you can set up an appointment to meet with me or an email, and I'd be happy to help you out. Bye, guys.